The photograph stopped Emma's heart mid-beat. There, hanging among portraits of distinguished ancestors and oil paintings worth more than her mother's lifetime earnings, was a simple framed photo of a woman in a nurse's uniform, her mother's face, younger but unmistakable, smiling with that gentle warmth Emma knew so well. Emma's cleaning rag slipped from her trembling fingers. She was supposed to be dusting the grand staircase of the Whitmore estate, one of many menial tasks she'd taken on to help pay for her mother's cancer treatments. At 17, she'd already learned that life wasn't fair, that some people lived in mansions with marble floors while others like her worked 3 jobs just to afford medicine. But this, seeing her mother's photograph displayed like she belonged here, in this world of wealth and privilege, made no sense at all. "That's my mom," Emma whispered, her voice cracking as she heard footsteps approaching. She turned to find Victoria Whitmore herself, the billionaire heiress whose family name graced hospital wings and university buildings across the country. At 35, Victoria was everything the tabloids said: elegant, poised, and seemingly untouchable in her designer suit. "Excuse me." Victoria's perfectly manicured eyebrow arched, her tone neither warm nor cold, just curious. Emma pointed at the photograph with a shaking hand. "That woman. That's my mother, Sarah Chen. Why is her picture in your house?" Victoria's expression shifted, softening in a way Emma hadn't expected. She moved closer to the photograph, gazing at it with something that looked almost like reverence. "Sarah Chen," she repeated quietly. "So you're her daughter. You know her." Emma's heart raced. "How? Why?" "Sit down," Victoria said gently, gesturing to the velvet bench beneath the staircase. When Emma hesitated, Victoria added, "Please. There's something you need to know." Emma sat, her mind spinning with possibilities, none of them making sense. Victoria settled beside her, and for the first time, Emma noticed the heiress's eyes weren't cold at all, they were filled with an emotion Emma couldn't quite name. 23 years ago, Victoria began, I was 12 years old and dying. Leukemia. My parents had all the money in the world, but it couldn't buy me a cure. I was in the hospital for months, and most of the nurses were kind, but they were busy. Except for one, a young nursing student named Sarah Chen. Emma's breath caught. Her mother had mentioned working in pediatric oncology during nursing school, but she rarely talked about those days. "Your mother wasn't assigned to my case," Victoria continued, her voice growing thick with emotion. "But every single day, she would come to my room on her breaks. She'd bring me books, read to me when I was too weak to hold them myself. She'd sit with me during the terrifying nights when I thought I wouldn't see morning. When I lost my hair, she shaved her own head so I wouldn't feel alone." Emma's eyes widened. She'd seen old photos of her mother with a shaved head, but her mom had always laughed it off, saying she'd gone through a rebellious phase. It wasn't rebellion at all, it was love for a dying child. "My parents barely visited," Victoria said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They were busy managing their empire, sending me the best doctors, the most expensive treatments. But your mother gave me something no amount of money could buy. She made me feel like I mattered, like I was a person worth fighting for, not just an heiress to a fortune." Tears spilled down Emma's cheeks. This sounded exactly like her mother, the woman who'd volunteer at homeless shelters on her days off, who'd give her last dollar to someone in need, who'd raised Emma alone after her father left, never complaining about their struggles. "One night," Victoria continued, "I had a severe reaction to treatment. I was dying, Emma. The alarms were going off, doctors were rushing in, and I was so scared. Your mother held my hand and promised me I would survive. She said, 'You have so much life to live, so much good to do in this world. Hold on for me.' She stayed with me all night, even though her shift had ended hours before. She nearly got fired for it. She never told me any of this," Emma whispered. "That's because she's your mother, humble to her core." Victoria smiled sadly. "I survived that night, obviously. And I survived the treatment. When I was finally declared cancer-free, I wanted to thank her, to give her something, anything. But she'd disappeared. I later learned she'd finished nursing school and moved away. My parents tried to find her, but it was before social media made everyone easy to locate. We lost touch." Victoria stood and walked to a drawer in a nearby console table, pulling out an envelope. "But I never forgot her. This photograph was taken by a hospital volunteer the day I was released. It's the only picture I have of her, and I've kept it displayed in every home I've owned since I moved out of my parents' house. She saved my life, Emma, not just physically, but emotionally. She taught me what it means to truly care about another human being. But if you've been looking for her. Emma's voice trembled. She's sick now. Stage 3 breast cancer. That's why I'm here, working. The treatments are expensive, and insurance doesn't cover everything, and her voice broke completely. I don't know how much longer we can afford to keep fighting. Victoria's face transformed. Without a word, she pulled out her phone and made a call. Dr. Morrison. Victoria Whitmore. I need you to clear your schedule. I'm sending you a patient, Sarah Chen. Cost is irrelevant. I want her to receive every possible treatment, the absolute best care. Yes, starting today. Emma stared in disbelief as Victoria made call after call, to doctors, specialists, treatment centers. Within minutes, she'd arranged for Emma's mother to be transferred to the country's leading cancer center, all expenses covered. Why? Emma finally managed to ask. Why would you do this for us? Victoria knelt before Emma, taking the young girl's hands in hers. Because 23 years ago, your mother taught me that real wealth isn't measured in dollars. It's measured in the lives we touch, the kindness we show, the love we give freely expecting nothing in return. She was barely older than you are now, working her way through nursing school, probably struggling financially herself, and yet she gave me everything she had. She squeezed Emma's hands gently. I've spent the last 2 decades building on my family's fortune, but I've also tried to live by your mother's example. Half my wealth goes to charitable causes, hospitals, schools, programs for underprivileged children. But it all started with her, with what she taught me about being human. Emma couldn't stop crying now, and Victoria embraced her like she was that scared 12-year-old girl again, being comforted by a compassionate nurse. There's something else, Victoria said softly. You're working 3 jobs while trying to finish high school, aren't you? Emma nodded. Not anymore. I'm establishing a scholarship fund in your mother's name. It'll cover your education, college, graduate school, whatever you choose. And Emma, if you decide to become a nurse like your mother, I'll endow an entire wing at the hospital where we met in Sarah Chen's name. I don't know what to say, Emma sobbed. This is too much. It's not enough, Victoria insisted. Your mother gave me my life back. She showed me that one person's kindness can change everything. She's the reason I wake up every day trying to be better, do better. Let me honor that. Let me help her the way she helped me. 3 months later, Emma stood in that same mansion, but this time her mother stood beside her, healthy, cancer-free, color returned to her cheeks. Sarah Chen stared at her photograph on Victoria's wall with tears streaming down her face. I was just doing my job, Sarah whispered. Just being kind to a scared little girl. No, Victoria said firmly, joining them. You were being extraordinary. You were being you, selfless, compassionate, human in the truest sense of the word. You saved my life twice, Sarah. Once when I was dying from cancer, and again by showing me how to live with purpose. Sarah embraced Victoria, and Emma watched as 2 women from completely different worlds held each other, connected by a simple act of kindness performed decades ago by a nursing student who never expected anything in return. That photograph remained on Victoria's wall, but it was soon joined by another, one of the 3 of them together, smiling, proof that kindness echoes through time, that one person's compassion can change not just a single life but ripple outward, transforming the world in ways we can never predict. Emma learned something that day that she'd carry with her forever: the most valuable inheritance isn't money or property or power. It's the love we give, the kindness we show, and the courage to believe that even in our darkest moments, humanity's light can guide us home.